On to this next segment of our meeting. The genesis of this was a few weeks ago. Jan Hauser calls me and says, we should do something at the meeting for Black History Month, which is February. And I said, I don't really like the whole idea of Black history, or the Black Chamber of Commerce, or the Asian Business Association, or Miss Latino America, all those ethnic specificities. You certainly did the opposite. If you tried to do Miss White America, that would not fly at all, and it shouldn't. So, talking with Kenny White, what we came up with is this, and the prerequisite is going way back to the founding of the country. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Martin Luther King, famous, I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. He also said, talking about those original founding documents, when the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Donald Trump, in his inaugural, said much the same thing. As a bedrock of our politics would be a total allegiance to the United States of America, and through our loyalty to our country, we will rediscover our loyalty to each other. When you open your heart to patriotism, there is no room for prejudice. Unfortunately, the enemies of our country realize race is a key fracture and fault line in the country on which they can push and pound and divide the country. When Obama took office, majorities of both black and white Americans thought that race relations were getting better. When Obama left office, majorities of black and white Americans thought race relations were getting worse. And that was not an accident. And their efforts have gotten worse since that time, and they're now doing it to the children with this critical race theory, teaching them to judge and treat other people based on the color of their skin. That is racism, that is morally wrong, it's also practically wrong, as a wildly inadequate way of judging or assessing anyone. So, the idea, a long intro, the idea of this program is this, not a rendition of Black American history, slavery, and the whole story since that time, but rather, do we have a black history, or is this just all American history, and what various people did and was done to them is all part of that story, but it's one combined story that we are all heirs to. What you see up here on the screen are 2 people. You probably know the guy on the right, John Glenn, one of the first Mercury 7 astronauts. Before that, he was a Korean War fighter pilot. Woman on the left you may not know as well. Her name was Katherine Johnson. She was born in the 1920s in the battle days with legal Democrat Party mandated segregation. But she was so brilliant that she rose above that, and he went to work for NASA, and she did the orbital calculations for John Glenn before computers. By paper and slide rule and a brain, she did the orbital calculations, and John Glenn relied on those when he flew into space. So in that microcosm is kind of the answer. Do we see both of them as, well, there's black history, here's normal white American history, or do we see 2 great Americans whose stories make us what we are today, and we can all be inspired by what they did. And that's so, Kenny White is going to be the MC in this section, and we have Alana, this is right here, I think it's Tecera, if that's right, Justine Anita Rhodes, and our very own Ms. Ashley. And with that, come on guys, come on up. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Well, for
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ken White. I'm a affiliate guest host, radio host for a lot of the notables that you know. But when I'm not doing that, for those of you who do know me, I am the Southside Unicorn. I'm honored to be here with you all, and so is the esteemed panel. And with that, let us begin. I want to say thank you to the Redlands Tea Party Patriots for making this discussion possible. I want to thank all in attendance for the time and the commitment to making America the shining city on the hill we all hope it to be. I want to thank the panelists for taking the time out of their lives of daily service to participate in this discussion tonight. Today is the 3rd of February 2022, which means it is the 3rd day of what is commonly known as Black History Month. In the wisdom of Mr. Greg Britton, Esquire, and in the wisdom of Mr. Greg Britton, Esquire, and RTPP President, we are here to share our experience and viewpoints on the burning question of Black history or American history. Whose story is it? I think before we begin to address such a lofty question, let us understand what Black History Month is and why is there a Black History Month. February wasn't chosen because it was the shortest month. It was Negro History Week, chosen by Black historian and Republican Carter Woodson to align with the birthdays of Frederick Douglass and President Abraham Lincoln. Let me say, we must remember, for a good part of this nation's history, there was a time when the accomplishments of Black Americans were unnoticed. And if by some way their accomplishments did reach the attention of the then mainstream, by a number of white America, it was met with a cold indifference. And there was a necessity to promote the good deeds of Black people despite the culture of the time to tamp down and any good works done by Blacks. But in the last 58 years, America has made great strides in creating an America where we can now even ask the question, Black history or American history, whose is it? So tonight, let us listen as a cross-section of Americans will panel and discuss this issue. We are fortunate to have over 243 years of Black experience with us tonight, ranging from veterans to corporate professionals to even our own namesake mathematician, as mentioned by the picture here with Katherine Johnson. We have a person with us who is equal in stature to, I know you wouldn't say that yourself, but yes, she could be Katherine Johnson. The famed hidden figures. We have living witnesses who have survived the soul-crushing era of Jim Crow. So without any further ado, I present to you the panel for this evening. Let me just introduce these names. With us tonight, we have Miss S. Ashley Gilliam, lovingly known to all of us as Miss Ashley. The aforementioned mathematician who traveled a long ways to get here, ladies and gentlemen, is Miss Alana Tecera. And the two further down to my left, I know I really don't have to introduce them, but I will. And I'm glad to see you here, Dusty. Very glad. Mr. Dusty Rhodes and his beautiful wife, Miss Anita Rhodes, lovingly known as Miss Anita. So, as you all know, Miss Ashley's ready, set, go. I gotta lay some ground rules down, so however, each person will have about 2 minutes to do a bio of themselves so that everyone will get to know who is speaking to you and what they're sharing with you. So with that, Miss Ashley, I know you're ready to go.
Yes, I am too old and too short to do the stools, and so I have to stand up here, which is really a bad thing because I have to rock in my feet. So it's just a chore just doing this. But anyway, Miss Ashley Gilliam, who I am, I was born in the 50s, raised in the 60s, through the 70s, in the large part of that in the segregated South. I also lived in the Jim Crow area in Louisiana, where we were segregated in restaurants, schools, and places of worship everywhere you went. But along with that, no excuses and no safe spaces back in the day were tolerated. We were very well educated. My dad ended up being in the military. We traveled all throughout the United States and also in foreign countries. We lived in Africa and Hawaii. I had 5 other brothers. We settled here in California, and with that period of time, four of my brothers and myself actually got college degrees. They're all doing very well, but we have a strong family history and a strong family at that period of time. Plus, we had extended families that would not allow us to do anything but succeed. So I'm very happy to be here tonight, and thank you for inviting us.
Good evening, my name is Alana Tecera. I'm a former math teacher for a public school station. Is that better? Okay, great. So I was saying I'm a former mathematician. I don't know, I guess you're a mathematician forever. I am now a homeschooling mother, proudly. Actually, it's the best decision I've ever made. My daughter, one of the proudest moments is she said, I never want to go back to public school again. And that really brings a tear to me. That was doing some of the right things to our church and the co-op there, Mighty Country Co-op. You guys know about it. I'm proud to be a part of this panel.
And we're glad to have you. Thank you.
Because I didn't grow up in a family that talked much about politics. I was just meant to be a Democrat, and that's it. But when I sat down and looked at things for myself, I knew that I had to change that mindset in my family going forward. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dusty.
Let him have your mic.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dusty. Some of you know me, some of you don't. Anyway, I was born in the 50s in the local city of Los Angeles. Things seemed like it was going well because I was young then, so I was, did not have the knowledge. I was just like a lot of people here earlier that, you would just grow up to be a certain party, if you're a certain ethnicity, you belong to a certain party. But what changed everything was the watch riot up there in Los Angeles. We were right in the middle of it. And we saw that, my father saw that, our lives were in danger because the neighborhood had just had a dramatic change. They ran all the businesses out. So we moved up here to the Riverside County area. And, for a better life for us to have a slower pace and learn responsibilities. So we had a farm and everything. So we got getting out of high school. We went on to, when we got a job with law enforcement. Did that for 3 years, that life-changing, accident that changed my life. I moved over to finance. And during that time period, I've been doing it for like about 35 years. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm up here doing this because I want everybody to know that, we need to, it's not about American history, it's not about black history. What it is about, it's all about history. So what I'm saying is this, is that we have to come together. I've learned through hard lessons in life that we have to be able to come together and be able to be as one. We can't work separately. When we work separately like that, this is how they win. And I'm talking about the woke left, the Democrats. We're going to go more into it right now, but that's what I want you to know where I'm coming from, is that, I'm really happy to be here. I'm happy to be in America. I'm happy to live the American dream. Thank you very much.
Hello Patriots, hello family. My name is Anita Rhodes. I am the proud wife of this gentleman here. I am blessed among women, second only to Mary, Mother of Jesus. Okay? Now, I came to California in 1981, born and raised in Toledo, Ohio. I went to school in Toledo, Ohio, University of Toledo, continued my education out here in business and various other industries, for-profit, non-profit industries across the board. And I grew up hearing about Theodore Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I too was born and raised a Democrat. And even when Barack Obama was elected, I was so politically naive. I was excited though because America had elected a black president, so we were not racist. I didn't grow up with the kind of racism we see today. But when I started listening to former President Obama, I knew something was wrong. America is the greatest nation in the world, and for that reason, I am proud of her. I will fight for her. I represent her. And of course, we'll answer the question, and we all probably know the question. Black history is American history. Personally, I think it's a misnomer. If we're going to talk about color, then we really, it's a misnomer because we used to say African history, Asian history, Italian history, Swiss history, Scandinavian history. We're a melting pot of great people from countries around the world. That's the American experience, and that's the beauty of this country. That's the tapestry of this country, and I'm proud to represent her, but that's what I'm all about. That's why I'm here, is to push that idea of the beauty and the majesty of this great country.
That was a heck of an opening bio. Everybody was supposed to be doing their biographies, you know, like where you went to school and all that. So ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the show. Thank you very much. I'm just kidding. The late, great Sidney Poitier, rest in peace, and Morgan Freeman both shared a perspective about being black, and it was this: I won't refer to you as a white man if you stop referring to me as a black man. Rather, it relates to me and deal with me by my character and my God-given name, not by my race. I must admit, I've always admired both of these men. After learning this about them, I must say, I too agree with them. When the issue of race arises, I answer it in this way. I am a man who happens to be black, but I don't live my life as a black man. Never denying the richness of my culture, the history of my peoples, or the uniqueness of the issues that being black can present on almost a daily basis. Living by any color diminishes your life experience that God intended us to have. Having said that, it's time to move into the question and answer portion of this show. I'm going to start with you, Ms. Ashley. Now I have to lay down the ground rules. You got it? Because we can all talk forever. I know you can do it. You can do it too. I've seen you do it. So you got 2 minutes. Okay? You got 2 minutes. And we got a timekeeper right here. She's going to keep us all honest tonight. Ms. Ashley, black history or American history? Whose is it?
American history is black history, and black history is American history. Without black history, there's no American history. It's important that I tell you about the accomplishments we did, because sometimes, lest we forget what we brought to this country. Without black history, there would have been no Statue of Liberty. If you look at the Statue of Liberty, which was a gift to us from France for abolishing slavery, she still has change on her feet. Without black history, there's been no NASA program or the black women who were the human computers, and you see some of them. Show of hands how many people use their GPS system in their car. Black women. Okay, black people. Black history includes modern history and the conveniences you enjoy. Let's just name a few of them. Indoor commode, now known as toilets. Your cell phone, clothes dryer, bike frames, curtain rods, dustpans, electric lamp bulbs, elevators, eye protectors, fire extinguishers, fire ladders, folding chairs, bed, fountain pens, gas masks, golf tees, guitar, thermostat control, railroad signal, hand stamp, ice cream hand scooper, shoe horn, iron boards, keychains, lawnmowers, peanut butter, pencil sharpeners, refrigerators, stethoscope, stove, traffic light, typewriter, gas burner, and spark plugs for that car you have, okay? I can go on and on. But if you go into, just Google this, and put in Google inventions by black Americans, over a 150-year period of time, we did over 500 inventions. We cannot believe what we did in this country. But what we did more than anything for black Americans, again, that word American that stands out. I have no problem celebrating black Americans 1 month a year and recognizing contributions that people that look like me. But every day you and I wake up and go to bed, 365 days a year should be a celebration of Americans. and the contributions and sacrifice that men and women of this great nation have made and continue to make to this world. Thank you.
Wow. You know, being a moderator, I get the pleasure of actually, getting some of this stuff. I did not know that. How many of you knew that those inventions existed by the hands of blacks? Not very many. And you know what? I can't raise my hand. I cannot raise my hand because I didn't know that. You know, that's
10 more pages of that.
that's absolutely incredible. That's absolutely incredible. And so now I'm going to go to you, Miss Anita. Are you ready? You're making me feel like I'm missing something here. I'm not missing nothing, girl. Don't get there. Here we go. Ready? Black history or American history? Whose is it?
It's as Ms. Ashley said, American history is Black history. Black history is part of America's history. And I'm going to just go ahead and talk about the elephant in this room. There's a perception about blacks. A lot of that perception is negative. Some of it's positive. And I'm going to ask you to think about where do you get your information and your perceptions from. It's the news media. It's the same news media that talks about blacks showing us very negative situations. Violent, uneducated, ill-spoken, ill-mannered, disrespectful. That same media also claims to love black people and want to take care of them, provide for them, give us entitlements and things like that. That's a forked tongue. It's deliberate to paint us into a certain, to give you a perception, a negative perception, because they're keeping us as a people separated. I challenge you to get to know a black person, and you will see they don't meet that perception. We have misperceptions. Dispel those, reject what you see on TV, although they may exist, but the reality is what you see up here. Accept us for what you know to be true, see with your own eyes. That's the truth about black people. Ms. Ashley forgot, or I didn't hear her say two other things. We also invented the fire extinguisher as well as the elevator. You have a people that was taken from their natural heritage and they were able to survive despite all types of challenges. They were once educated. We excelled tremendously. So we're worthy, we're capable of protecting and loving and living in this country, being friends, being family, and causing this country to continue to prosper and grow. So black history is American history. We're nothing to be ashamed of. You're nobody for us to be ashamed of. We love you, we respect you. We're all hues, all colors, and we're a beautiful people. Never forget that. Let no one speak lies to you about us, each other, and love one another. Follow our traditions and our moral values, the character and people that we claim to be in Christ. And he has no people, none of us are above or below one another. Thank you.
That was very well said. That was very well said. You know, ladies and gentlemen, this is the part where the moderator is supposed to try to inject a little bit of humor, so I gotta do it. I gotta try it. You ready? Chris Rock, a comedian, he made a joke one time, and he said, he was talking to a homeless white man, right? And he said, man, look, I can prove to you that racism is real. And the guy went, no, I love everybody. Everybody's all the same to me. And Chris Rock said, look, let me just say this to you. I'm a millionaire. I got tons of money. And you don't. But you would not want to be me because you won't. Do you get it? That's one of the things that we have to deal with. And I'm so glad that this audience is able and willing, and Greg, thank you for even approaching the question. We have to begin to reach our young people and reclaim them from that type of dogma, that type of ideation, and I can see it in this audience. You guys are ready, set, go. So if you see anybody in a grocery store, you hear a young person spewing, as Miss Anita said, these negative stereotypes about blacks, and some blacks are guilty of it too. I hope you'll do your part. So now I turn to you, and I ask, Alana Tecera, here comes your question. I'm sure you probably know what the question is, but I gotta ask it anyway. Black history or American history, whose story is it?
It's all of our history, and I don't have really much to add because between Miss Ashley and Miss Anita.
Well, I'm going to help you there, because see, ladies and gentlemen,
So
she's new
much
to
that I
this.
didn't
No,
know.
I'm going to help you. Watch this. She's new to this, but she wanted to be a part of this because there's a story to be told. We're in 2022, and we're going to fight our lives when it comes to our nation. One of the cudgels that they're beating us over the head with is race. If we can conquer that, if we can get that out of the way, all our enemies will be properly exposed, all those socialists and all those Marxists. So here we go. Let me ask you. You took your children out of school, right?
My child, yes.
Your child? Why did you do it?
So
Come
many
on.
reasons. I didn't like the way the school system was going. I don't believe that you should mask the child, teaching them to be silent. And I also don't believe that you should indoctrinate a child to believe that pointing something that resembles a firearm to their head is okay every day.
There it is, there it is. See, you know, I have to say this. That was beautifully said. See, you can do it, you can do it. That, ladies and gentlemen, that's my mom. I'm looking at my mom right now. Because I grew up on the south side of Chicago back in the 60s and 70s. And boy, let me tell you how hard it is growing up on the south side of Chicago and running to Ronald Reagan. And you learn that at age 10, oh my goodness, I'm a Republican. Try walking around Chicago as a young black man telling everybody you were a Republican in the 1970s. Woo! That was an interesting time in my life. So now I move on to my man, Dusty Rhodes, and I want to say this, you know, everybody has their challenges and whatnot, but we serve an awesome God. I know for a fact, if it weren't not for him, I wouldn't be here today. I can tell you that, and I say it proudly. That's my praise report. But I look at my brother Dusty, and I know. I'm so glad to see you, brother.
Thank you.
Glad. Let's give him a round of applause. That's one more we get to keep. That's one more we get to keep. So, Mr. Dusty Rhodes, Black history or American history? Whose history is it?
I'd say this, that when I was in grade school, and that's time period, I know, you said that. When I was in grade school, it was American history, and American history had nothing to do with Black history. It was,
You want mine? Get that mic a little closer.
okay, great, thank you. Okay, it was all about one thing, and it was about history, and the history we grew up with learning was just American history, and it was nothing about Black, you know, we didn't, so I was almost as if we had nothing, had played no part in American history, and it just really does my heart good. I hear Miss Ashley saying all the things all the contributions, and I've learned a few things too, here and there, but I think it's the history of Black and American, I'm not on one side or the other, it's just history, and it just so happens to be in this country. And we all make this country, and we make this country a great country based on what our founding fathers drew up the Constitution. Now, this is the thing though, you know, we've had a lot of struggles. Part of our struggles was throughout the history because as we tried to make inroads, let's say after the Civil War, we made progress. Every time we moved up, there was usually the Republican Party that helped us move up. And I'm not just one party, but in this case, this is the truth. Then the opposing party, the Democratic Party, moved us back because they needed to have a base. They didn't have slaves anymore, but they needed another base. So what they want to do is keep a group of people down. So as Abraham Lincoln, he was assassinated. We got Andrew Johnson as the president. He was a Democrat. Back then they would have an opposing party as the vice president. He did everything he could to put us back into slavery. It didn't work. He was impeached. He saved impeachment by one vote. We got Ulysses S. Grant. He immediately got in there and he hired 2,000 Black people to work for the government to get us started. He was a Republican. As he was the president, then we got Rutherford B. Hayes. He lost, and he won. It was a debatable election. So the Republicans, the Democrats got him to back off, and Jim Crow came into being. So all I'm saying is this, is that the Democratic Party is not the friend of the Black people. We are aware of it. We're smart enough to know that. Don't think that everybody thinks that because you're Black, you have to be a Democrat. Because they're Black, they're going to vote that way. That's not true at all. A lot of Black people know the Democratic Party is not our friend. You know, the media makes you think otherwise. But that's all I have to say.
Well, that's not all you have to say. You said a mouthful, and that explains a lot of things. And as I said, we have people here who are living witness to the horrible times of Jim Crow, and yet still they love America. Yet still they believe in this nation. We have to galvanize that, ladies and gentlemen. This is the time that the Lord decided to put us in. He put us here for a reason, together, all of us. Let us come together in that idea. You don't discuss anything, especially something as serious as this, without offering some solutions. So real quickly, and we have to because of time, I'm going to ask each one of the panelists the question, which is, what would be your solution to the racial issues that we have in this Black History Month and all of that? How do we get it straight? What's your solution? And Ms. Ashley, I'm going to defer to you first.
In conclusion, briefly, before the 1960s, 85 to 90% of Black children were born to traditional two-family households. Many of those were God-centered. The family and faith worked together, and they were the cornerstone of our communities. We not only survived, but we thrived. Fast forward 60 years, only 40% of Black boys now graduate high school, and only 25% of Black families now, they are single-family household instead of the 90% of moms and dads when I grew up. And when they do graduate high school, a lot of them graduate with third grade education levels. These are the same kids that end up on welfare, homeless, in jail, graveyard, and the same ones that are robbing on the street. If you are not educated, you can't read and write, you can't take advantage of any of the opportunities. That would affect any of us at any time. We know must go back to the basics. My community has always known a quality education is a key to success. I'm involved with school choice for that reason, and we need to support that initiative that we have. And school choice is not the end, but it's only the beginning. Thank you very much.
Outstanding. Well, I'm just going to go down the line. So, Mr. Sarah, please.
I think the solution is putting the power back into the parents' hands and also to instill a sense of patriotism back into our children.
Outstanding. Thank you for that answer, Mr. Sarah. Justin?
Yes, I feel like that we're a nation that have walked away from God, and I think that is the foundation of everything else. Like the Bible says, wisdom comes from God. In order to have a culture and have a society that's going to be functional, we have to have wisdom. And right now you see people, these DAs and stuff, I mean, they're just as crazy as crazy. And the reason being is because we walk away from God, and because of that, God says He's turned us over to a debased mind. So I think this country is going to have to, and it's going to start in the families, it's going to have to be with the churches. We're going to have to really buckle down and save our children. The other part, of course, is school choice, but it starts at home.
Thank you for that answer, Justin.
Very brief, Ray. As Dusty said, my role model, Jesus Christ, His written word says, esteem one another more important than yourselves, to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And if we look out not only for our own interest, but the interest of others, if we all do that, we would have a very strong, united country, nation, and we would not be divided by color, and we could overcome the evil of racism.
Amen. And very quickly, as we begin to wrap up the show, I just want to highlight on something, especially for those of us in the African American community, and recognizing that a lot of our children are now born to single mother homes and all of that. How long is your union? How long is your union? Dusty and yourself. How long have you been married?
We've been, Clarence and I have been married, it'll be our 22nd year.
Outstanding. Thank you very much for that. Now, as we bring the show to a close, I want to mention something very briefly. CaliforniaSchoolChoice.org is very serious in this one regard. The left has used our children, and when I say our children, I am speaking about African American children. They've used them as a country. We need your help because, as some people understand, if that initiative should fail, some people's lives and their children's lives will not change one bit. Case in point, I was out stumping for CaliforniaSchoolChoice.org in the city of Redlands over by Trader Joe's, real quick. And a gentleman, a Greek gentleman, he came by, I did my thing. Excuse me, sir, can I, talk to you about SchoolChoice.org? He knew what it was, and he said, I'm not interested, I'm not concerned with that. I'm like, oh really? He's like, my kids are educated, my kids' kids are educated, everything is okay. I'm like, whoa, but what about the kids that way? And I was pointing towards San Bernardino. And this gentleman pointed toward Ukaipa and said, all I care about is what's going on that way, and all my stuff is fine. That's where the problem starts, ladies and gentlemen. Because your world is good. It's really not. Because these children running around looting and rioting and whatnot, that's because they have not been given the proper tools to succeed. Having said that, it is a commission of all of us by the God that we claim to love, that we must uplift. Who? The downtrodden and the weak, the tired, the hungry, and the poor. That's our mission. So, Black History Month, whose history is it? It is all about history. The good and the bad. If you love a person, you love all of that person, the good and the bad. We have some bad, but we also have a whole lot of beautiful to be proud of. This is our time, ladies and gentlemen. And as we come to a close of this evening's panel discussion on Black History Month, it is my hope that everyone present here tonight got something from this. Something they can take back to their friends and families, co-workers, and the community at large, and offer up a fresh perspective on where we are headed. And I hope we can share that we are headed to a shining city on a hill somewhere in the promised land. On behalf of the esteemed panel and the Redlands Tea Party Patriots, thank you for being with us this evening. Please give the panel a round of applause. Thank you. Great. You did it. You did it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Greg, I return the mic to you.
Thank you, Jenny. You're recognized for 1 minute.
So, I wanted this program. I was the one that suggested it to Greg, because this narrative is our narrative. This is the conservatives in our country started the end of slavery. It was not the Democratic Party. It was a Republican president who sent troops into a school to desegregate that school, and it was a white Democrat governor that said segregation now, segregation forever, and stood in front of those doors to that school. This is our history. The people in this room, it is not the history of the Democratic Party, who has been on the other side and continue to be on the other side.
15 seconds to spare. Very good.
First of all, Dusty, so glad to see you back on your feet again. Thank you for everything that was said here. My question is this. When we're talking history, it is education that is the key. How the youth is taught this stuff. And I can understand why people would want something like ethnic studies, so that people would see the success of people who look like them. But it's also true that part of the purpose of education is to get you out of yourself and to see things from a bigger perspective. That's why math is so important, because math is so universal. Music is so important, because it's so universal. So how do we oppose a thing like ethnic studies and get that idea that Black history is part and parcel with American history, the good and the bad, without the accusation, which I'm sure most people are afraid of being called a racist? That's always the fear.
Let's bring that question right there. Let's get into the national real quick so we can.
So we just have to get back to talk about history, period. I don't mind, like I said, CRT, but what they do with that, a large proportion of the Democratic history and other people's history is left out. I don't mind talking about that, but it needs to be included with everybody else's history and our history here. As far as civics are not being taught anymore, American history is not being taught anymore. If you teach American history, all our history would be involved in that. So we need to get back to those basics.
Outstanding answers, great questions. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. And one more round of applause for the panel.